I just love when businesses are started out of a need. And that is exactly what Sydney Hughes did when she started Senior Proof. She was a caregiver for her aging father who had a fall. And she realized she wanted to make the home safer for him, but would have to be general contractor to do so because there was not one turnkey solution that would actually handle it all. Well, in comes her innovative company, Senior Proof. And listen, she's tackling a lot while building this incredible business and sharing it all on this episode. Our physical, mental, and emotional health is not just a want, it is a need for happy lives and prosperous businesses. Lift You Up is the podcast where we share inspiring health stories from business owners who are fulfilling their purpose to live their healthiest lives and helping you do the same. From former TV reporter to marketing entrepreneur and content creator, I care about sharing stories that matter and stories that connect us. I'm your host, Tamika Bickham, your health and wellness matchmaker. Well, today I'm so excited to welcome to the podcast Sydney Hughes. She is the founder and CEO of Senior Proof. Did I get that right?
Yes, you got it.
Senior Proof. All right. I just wanted to double check. And I know we've met on a few occasions now and around in South Florida, networking and business circles, but it's good to have you on this podcast. How are you doing today?
I am great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we have to tell people more about you because if you don't know about Sydney, she's doing the thing. So first, give everyone, before we dive more into your story, give everyone a little bit more about what Senior Proof is, what your business does.
Sure. So Senior Proof was really founded out of love and out of a necessity. I've been in construction 15 years, and for 3 of those years, I was caregiving for my father. He recently passed last March, but I like to say something good came out of his passing. So after a bad fall, I received a phone call from my stepmom, and she told me he'd fallen. And luckily, I was only 20 minutes away. So when I rushed over, I walked through the door. I found him laying on the floor next to his bed. And it was just a really sad moment for me and for the family. And at that moment, I knew he no longer was safe in his environment. We needed to do something about it. So I went online, I called his primary, I called everyone, try to help me, handymen, construction companies. And there wasn't a company out there that I could literally hand over my credit card and say, I don't care what it takes, just Senior Proof the house, right? Because I
Mm.
was a mother at one of that point. I had about a 3-year-old son at that point. I was a successful controller for a developer in Aventura. I had a husband, let's not forget about him. And so I'm trying to juggle all these things. And I really was just hoping to find a resource for not only him, but myself. Like I was lost in this whole transition of caregiving for him and how to get his medicines in line and how to coordinate the logistics of his transportation and all. Like this is all a new chapter for everyone. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing here at Senior Proof. We are a turnkey fall prevention company. And we have helped prevent over 10,000 falls in South Florida. So we're really proud of that number.
That's an amazing number, over 10,000 falls. So for clarity then, there was really no business that or company that you could call and say Senior Proof this because they would want you to be able to identify like I need you to do XYZ or like call on the different professionals you would need to do the different things throughout the space.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
what we did was we go out and we offer the free safety evaluation. And we're, as another company, you would just call and say, hey, Mr. Handyman, can you just install 2 grab bars, right? Or can you turn this tub into a walk-in shower? So now you're going to call not the handyman, but you're going to call a construction company for that too, right? So a
Right.
project that should have lasted 2 weeks lasted almost like a month and a half. So which was really frustrating because again, I didn't know what I was doing. I knew the construction side, but I knew that there should have been a simpler solution than having to call all these different companies, shop them around, and then hire 2 or 3 people for the same line of work. So when we offer the free safety evaluations, we do it for everyone, regardless of income. And what we've noticed is A lot of our independent seniors are either in condominiums, a lot of them are low income, and a lot of them are lonely, right? So this goes way beyond grab bars and bed rails and toilet rails. We want to be a resource to the community. And we've even created a resource page on our website so then caregivers or the independent senior could go find resources like community centers or even public pals, right? Like trying to inform them of how they could get out of social isolation, keep them safe, prevent falls, really just be proactive instead of reactive to fall. So I want to be that resource for the 36 million people that are falling at their homes every year, and help them not be lonely either. It's tough. It's tough to be an independent senior, especially one that is aging in place by themselves.
Absolutely. And honestly, this idea really sounds like genius. It sounds common sense, right? Like, hey, I'm surprised there's not a solution for this. But somebody who is a caregiver doesn't also need to be a general contractor, which is essentially before you had senior proof, what they would need to do to kind of pull together, like you said, all of the pieces, then extending the timeline, causing more headache and work for them on top of already a full plate of responsibilities, which is what it sounded like was your situation.
I always like to say that this is God's plan, right? There's no way I've been in construction 15 years. And then this innovation, I've always been innovative. I've always been an entrepreneur, but I knew that this could be the solution to so many people. And what better place to start than South Florida, to tell you the truth. It was just, the universe was aligned, and we're doing great work here. So I'm really proud of our team.
Absolutely. So before we talk about then kind of next steps, give me more of your background. I know you said 15 years in construction. What type of roles? You said you've always been innovative. Tell me kind of about your path.
I'm born and raised in Queens, New York. I am a city girl. So it seems like everybody moved down here from New York anyway. So I'm right at home. And when I was working, I always worked and went to school, and I was working at Starbucks, and I was going to school full time. And I remember there was a young woman that gave me the opportunity to be in the real estate and construction field. She said, you're such a hard worker here. Are you looking for part-time? So that was like my first construction job, or like admin work. And she really opened doors for me without even knowing that, right? In hindsight, right? A woman in construction is an anomaly also. It seems like now we're getting a lot bigger, let me tell you, right? The numbers have changed in the last couple of decades. But when I started, it was definitely a male dominated industry. And then my really big first career job was the Haskell Company, which is based out of Jacksonville. And they were building the Susan B. Anthony building down here. And I started as an admin, and I worked my way up from admin. Then I went to another company as a project coordinator. After that, I was a business development manager for a restoration company. And then I ended my 7-year career as a financial controller for a developer in Aventura. So construction, obviously not on the job site, right? But on the operational end, in the organization, I really believe construction. I love it. I was just at the John Knox Village yesterday, and they're building this big, beautiful Moss Construction is building this big, beautiful building for them. And it's just like, I could just stand there and look at it all day. It's impressive how many moving parts you need to be in construction. And we do a lot of home remodeling, right? We do a lot of bathroom to walk-in shower conversions or wheelchair accessible kitchens. So our construction is much smaller on the scale of a big high rise. So it's really always nice to see, how the economy is going. It's booming through construction, let me tell you. But the background, as far as myself, I just lead construction. So I think I'm going to stay here for a while and grow this thing nationwide. That is the goal for Senior Proof too, to take this resource nationwide. And we're working on that right now.
Wonderful. So at what point in your career, obviously you told me about this story that happened with your father, but what point in your career did you say, okay, I'm going to make this shift, this transition to starting my own business?
No one's ever asked me that. And that is such a great question, because I read a lot of Entrepreneur magazine and stuff. And I love the story right behind it is that I had this idea and I went to my husband, who's a civil engineer, and I've always up to him. We've been together 16 years. So I've come up to him with all these different ideas through our relationship. And he'd be like, no, not sure about that one. He was Mr. Rational. And so I remember I had this great idea and I said, listen, if this doesn't work out, you're going to have to pay that car note for a while. So I equally needed his support, right, to make sure that we could be a power couple and grow this as it is. So I remember at that point, did have two children. I had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I was working at the developer's office, and I went to my work wife that was working there, Pam, and I said, listen, I can't keep doing this. I can't grow senior proof. I can't be a comptroller and raise two children and have a family. Something's got to give. And she says to me, well, you know what you have to do? You have to quit this job. And I said, but what if I fail? Like, what if, like, I feel like I'm standing on this edge of a cliff and I'm just like about to jump off and not sure what to do. And she looked right at me and said, well, baby, that's when you learn how to fly. And that's so true because I have flown since then, right? It was such a risk in my career. I was making a good salary, and to drop that, as the entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs know, you go from making a salary to $0 and 0 cents an hour. And in fact, I took a loan out, I did it right. I have some investors that are interested, but I have yet to sign off with an investor. So a lot of this was self-funded, and it was scary. It was a scary 3 to 6 months to not know if, I knew I had a value proposition, but I wasn't sure. I knew there was a market too, but was I the right person for it, right? And so now that we work with Memorial Healthcare Systems, the Department of Elder Affairs, AAA's, like all these big guys now, it's so rewarding. It's definitely validating knowing that the risk that we took was not only preventing falls and saving lives, but it helps pay the bills too, which is nice to feel.
How long ago was this now? So what year was this that you started Senior Proof?
The end of 2020. So about 2 years. But I didn't really fully commit until after my dad passed. Like, not that I didn't have time, right? I was still caregiving for him. I would try to go every day. The branding, the website development, the content, all that startup, all that things that you need for startup. I was working on that in 2020, right? Like all the branding, website, getting everything kind of prepared. But did I really commit was probably 2021. Yeah, early 2021 after he passed. Did I say, okay, I'm quitting my job. I'm doing this full time. And it was really a scary time in my life, but I'm glad we've conquered that and I'm flying.
And really, that's in relatively pretty short time to have, when you said, oh, it was a scary 3 or 6 months, I'm like, huh, there could be a scary 1 or 2 years.
You're absolutely right. And I'm so fortunate, but the grind is very real. I mean, I put in, I didn't see my children for about 6 months. It took a village. My mom helps raise my daughter. I mean, I'll see them at bedtime, putting to bed, but there was definitely a sacrifice that was made for both my family and my career, right? So there was a lot of late nights, a lot of networkers, as you could tell. Networking is, now we have a business development person, hired. So it's nice because I could finally work on the company instead of in the company. And we're onboarding and scaling quickly. We're projected to retrofit about 2,000 homes next year with some local AAAs. So it's really for low-income families too. I have a passion for low-income families because they have no choice but to age in place. So this is going to be amazing work that we're doing. But you're right. Most entrepreneurs might have a couple of bad years, but if it wasn't for my husband too, right? The support, the financial support, the backing, I didn't have to worry about paying the bills sometimes because, he could cover it, but it was a sacrifice for everyone.
Absolutely. What would you say you've learned most or the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself since starting Senior Proof?
Personal growth. Um, a lot of reading. I went back to school. I don't know if I told you that, but I went back to school for 14 weeks with Miami-Dade College at the Idea Center. I have a bachelor's in business with St. Leo University, but I needed like almost, it's like a mini MBA program. So on top of running a new business, having children, I was a masochist and went back to school. But let me tell you, those 14 weeks totally refined the operations, the value proposition. In fact, we created a fall prevention package that we're pitching to Medicare Advantage through that program. So I'm very fortunate to Miami-Dade College for that, and the Idea Center. But a lot of self growth, a lot of recommitting myself to myself, right, and saying I'm going to spend this time and grow personally in business and kind of shut out the noise, right? Because my time is very intentional because at 4:30, 5 o'clock, my phone is shut off and it's mommy duties. I'm cooking dinner, I'm cleaning floors, I'm putting bath times, I'm doing bath routines. So I'm very laser focused, and it has hurt on some of the social aspect, right? Like older girlfriends and stuff, hanging out with them as much. I do miss them sometimes because I'm so busy with work. But I found new like-minded women also in business we have these kind of conversations like you and I, right? Like the conversations that are moving needles.
I really admire that you're able to start this business, have two kids, right? You have a husband, you have a home to take care of as well, and then you go back to school. Can you just give me a snapshot of like, because I love that laser focus that you mentioned as far as, hey, here is how I am spending my time. Like, certainly you have to be intentionally ruthless with your time when you're committed to all of those things. So I'm just curious how you were able to manage all of that, or how you structured your day, like what your day looked like from when you got up to like the end of the day.
So I wake up usually between 5 and 6 in the morning, and most days closer to 6. But I try to get a workout in before the kids wake up because I noticed that if I try to do it after, and like I'll either talk myself, I'm exhausted or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Then Logan's got basketball practice I got to take, so it doesn't happen. So I try most days wake up a little early. I just started meditating again. I used to do that years ago, but I need to like refocus. So I've been doing a little meditation, only 5 or 10 minutes, nothing crazy. I do my workout. Then at that point, Logan needs to get up, get ready for school. Then Emma sleeps in a little more. So it gives me time to get ready and get like glammed up, right? I'm very much a girly girl, as you could tell, like you, right? I love having my hair done and my nails done and makeup. I'm still true to myself. And get ready and start the day. So it usually starts about my first meeting. I don't like to take until like 9:30 or 10. So I have time to check on emails from the night before, and get my coffee in. And then I like to take the bigger meetings for sure, during the morning time of the day between 10 and 12, like things that I really have to make some big decisions on because I feel like I'm a
Yeah.
little more clear mentally. And then my typical day is speaking to my team, a lot of my director of operations, my COO, my operations managers, kind of see where we're at, what we need to coordinate, what's the next step. Just moving the needle is my thing right now, especially as the operations is fine tuning. And then by 4:30, 5 o'clock, I try to shut it off. I go pick up Logan from school. I take him to Starbucks to have a snack before basketball practice. And then they're probably all in bed, then dinner time, and then they're in bed by like 8:30. And then we start it all over again. But we try to definitely, I try to make sure that on the weekends we do like family runs or bike rides or something keep us active and healthy as a family. But really the weekends are like Logan's schedule, like popularity schedule. He's only 6. And I swear every weekend I have either basketball practice or someone's birthday. Like he's a popular dude. So so the weekends are really just committed to them. And that's really, and then you do it again and again until, my mission is to prevent all falls, and it's a big mission, but we're working on it. We're getting there. It takes a village and it takes dedication. Um, but
Absolutely.
it, but I also like to surround myself with people that are smarter than me, right? Or that have been more experienced than me. And I'm very grateful to my mentor Yenvi Turong. She kind of took me under her wing and told me about Miami-Dade Scale Up. And she goes, "You would really benefit from this." And it was 30 or 35 small business owners all throughout South Florida, ranging from us, like general contractors, to barbershops, to restaurants. And it was such a great sense of community. And at the end of the 14 weeks, you get to pitch, right? And I won second place.
Mm.
Oh
Oh
my
my
And
goodness.
yeah, I won second
That's
place.
awesome.
Yes, behind Bowser Brownies, which they have such a social impact. A lot of their money goes towards water fixtures overseas and Africa and stuff. They're doing some rewarding work too. And, it was no ego there. Like everybody was just like such a cheerleader for one another. We still have this WhatsApp chat. We haven't been in school for a couple months now, but we still text. When I got awarded recently at the Healthcare Council, I shared my win with them. And it's just like being around like-minded people, I think also
Mm-hmm.
helps.
I just wanted to know your perspective on being a woman in business who is incredibly sharp, smart, successful, and growing your own empire in your own right.
I'm kind of used to being underestimated, to tell you the truth, especially by men. I like to think of myself as beauty and brains, right? I am very confident of what I talk about because I know I've lived it, right? Not only was I a caregiver, I've been in construction. But let's say if you want to talk about like politics, I'm not the person to talk to about that, right? But I know what I'm confident in. But listen, first off, we are standing on a lot of shoulders to be here. So and let's say I was never built to be a stay-at-home mom, but let me tell you, I was a stay-at-home mom through COVID, and that was the hardest job in the world. Okay, I give it to every stay-at-home mom because that for sure is the hardest job in the world. And so me being a businesswoman, and growing and scaling the company, I do it for them and I do it for us. And I'm doing it for every woman that I'm standing on their shoulders to bring me here, because we only got to vote like a couple decades ago. Okay, so this wasn't like it hasn't been 100 years by any means. So I look at Sarah
Exactly.
Blakely. Yeah, I'm looking at Sarah Blakely. I'm looking at
Yeah.
Oprah. I'm looking at all these powerful women in their own right, but all of that they have did not come overnight, and nobody will know as much hard
Mm.
as they work, other than them. They only know how much they worked, and people like to think that because you're successful, you're lucky. Take luck out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot of restless nights. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of networking events. It's a lot of shaking hands, meeting the right people, asking the right questions. So I don't really believe in luck as much. I believe in strategy. And I think that's where having mentors that have lived it, and surrounding yourself with the right people has helped me scale quicker than most entrepreneurs, maybe because again, my time is so short, right? It's very intentional. So I have to make sure that, okay, if I'm gonna go out to dinner, it's gonna be with three CEOs, women CEOs, right? That's who I'm going to dinner with now,
Mm-hmm.
and asking those questions and seeing where they're at and how we could, better each other. But I'm very big into women empowerment. Selfishly, I'm very big into bias. I'm going to tell you, 90% of our workforce is women. Other than our technicians. And it's not by design, it's just is what it is. And we're construction company run by women. But again, I think we have empathy. We lead differently than men too. And not that they lead any better or worse. I just think we lead differently. And I'm just trying to be here. I know this was God's path for me. So I'm just here to be of service, really.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm similar too because 90% of our team is at least 90%, except for most of our crew, our videography team, but are women. And I think that's also because it's like, hey, I know that I'm here because most of the time another woman opened the door for me. And I want to do that for others as well.
So
Absolutely.
So I always like to kind of wrap things up with a health tip since we are health and happiness focused. And something, usually something actionable that our audience can take away. So is there something in your life that you practice? I know we kind of already went through your schedule, but something that's important for you to do each day to show up as your healthiest or happiest self.
Mental health is wealth. That's what I say, right? Health is wealth. I always said that. But you could come to work with a broken arm and a broken leg. Okay,
Yep.
you could do that. I'm very big on, I even offer the team one mental health day a year. I think that therapy is something that as a society we are just learning to talk about a little more. It's not as taboo, but it's important that we stay active, whether it be with a therapist if you need it. If not, having a support group, I think is important as well. Meditating, right? Making sure that you have self-awareness of where you're at, whether it's anxious, anxiety, whatever. I'm very big on that because that translates into business too, right? Not only in your personal space, but in business, making sure that you stay mentally sharp. I think is sharpening the sword all the time, reading books. That's something that I'm very big on mental health because I feel like everybody has a story, everybody has their journey. And a lot of people don't talk about what they're going through because, who wants to share the negative stuff, and having social media even worse, right? Because only people post the funny stuff and the happy stuff, but there's a lot of darkness sometimes in people. So I feel like mental health is something that is very, very important to do. So just kind of stepping back and asking yourself, how are you feeling today? Why are you feeling a little anxious, and really getting comfortable and understanding that anxiety, because everybody gets stress and anxiety. And if everybody says that they don't, they're lying, because everybody goes through it. So I think it's just recommitting to yourself and self-awareness.
I love that. Absolutely. Well, Sydney, this has been absolutely great. Is there anything else that you want to add before we go?
No, I'm just here to be of service. And if I could open a door for another woman in the business field in construction, I would love for you to share my information because I'm here to be of service. So the same way people open the doors for me, I would love to do the same and mentor people and mentor young entrepreneurs. Like, I'm here to be of service. And I think that's the only way we'll all grow. So thank you for having
yeah,
me.
Absolutely. Someone once told me, when you give, you get,
Yes,
right.
right?
always.
And yes, let me not forget to ask you to share your information, whether it's social media for yourself or Senior Proof, your website. So we'll drop that all in the show notes below.
Sure. So our is it our at sign? That's how I'm getting old. It's at Senior
Yeah.
Proof. Yes, or at Senior Proof. Or our website seniorproofinc.com. So it's seniorproofinc.com. And we offer free safety evaluations there as well. So we're just here to be of service. And please find me on LinkedIn. I'm very heavy on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, to tell you the truth. I pretty much shut off
Yes.
all my other ones. So Sydney Hughes is my name. And we're here to be of service again. Thanks again.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely put that below in the show notes. Make sure to reach out, connect with Sydney on LinkedIn, follow Senior Proof on their website and all the social medias. And this was such a pleasure. I really enjoyed learning more about your story, and I'm glad you shared it today.
Thank you. And thank you for having this platform for small business owners like us to have a voice.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that Sydney Hughes is an entrepreneur who really just wants to help and make this world a better and safer, happier, healthier place. That's exactly what she's doing with Senior Proof, preventing thousands of falls in South Florida and eventually beyond. So make sure you connect with her. She's a woman who wants to help other women succeed. Her information is all below in the show notes. And hey, if you have a need for Senior Proof, make sure to contact them too. And also, I say it every other week when we're back with new episodes. If you haven't connected with me, make sure you do that as well. I'm all the places, but I'd especially love to see you on LinkedIn and also hitting subscribe on YouTube, because we come back with new episodes every other week, and I'd hate for you to miss out. So until I see you back in 2 weeks, because I know I'll see you then, stay happy, stay healthy.